Move out and draw fire, because we are the War Department. Godspeed.
Room, attention.
A couple years ago, I wouldn't have gotten such a laugh out of that, but I've been made petty by the Times. And so when he ends his speech and he's like, "You did it, Pete. You did it. Look, you did it." And then there's silence. Silence. You could hear his heart break. And he looks down and then he walks off because he thinks it's going to be like when Dwight did that big sales speech on The Office and everybody's freaking out about it. He thought it was going to happen. No, dude, you're not cool. You're not awesome. They don't respect you at all. So that was a fun moment. He was expecting applause. He got absolutely nothing. I wonder how he made himself feel better later on that night. Pity the hotel bar. But anyway, the reactions from outside the room, I would say, have been even more negative than those inside, particularly from female veterans who I think at this point are sick of the years that he spent as a daytime talk show host, bad-mouthing them, implying that their service is no longer wanted or needed in the US military. And now, as the least, qualified Secretary of Defense in American history, he's doing it there too. They don't like that, okay? And so the BBC has been speaking with some of these female vets. One, Elisa Cardinal, who served in the US Navy for 11 years, said, "None of us have ever asked for special treatment. And boy, it must feel great after 11 years of service to your country to keep being told that not only have you ruined the military, not only have you made us a laughing stock, but you keep asking for extra free stuff. Oh, you just want it so easy," he says to someone who served longer and harder than he ever would. And no, I don't count sitting on the couch at Fox and Friends service. One former U.S. Marine fighter pilot, Amy McGrath, said, "I am sick and tired of Pete Hegseth lying about women in the military and standards. There has always been one standard for those jobs. There is never a men's standard or a woman's standard for flying a jet." But again, facts don't matter. Only Pete Hegseth's hurt feelings matter. Ms. Cardinal said, too, that gender and age were not part of assessments given for combat roles. There are base physical fitness standards for any member of the military. And those have been gradually changed over time, but not because of wokeness or DEI, but because the military is having an increasingly difficult job every single year getting people to sign up. In no small part because American physical fitness generally is not good, but also because look what the military has been what they've been asked to do for the entire lifespan of most of the people being asked to join it. It almost seems like Republicans just invading countries left and right doesn't inspire a lot of people to want to grow up and then eventually join the military. In any event, there's others. Senator Tammy Duckworth said for a guy who's not qualified for his own job, it's pretty discriminatory to talk about women who are qualified to do their jobs. Exactly. The DEI for drunken Fox News hosts that's led to the staffing of the federal government is not necessarily going to create a lot of confidence. Some Republican, or some, I should say, some female veterans like Pete Hegseth, or at least they need to say that they do so that Trump won't tweet about them. One is Nancy Mace, who graduated from the Citadel, the military college. She posted on Twitter, "Our enemies don't fear diversity quotas, they fear American firepower." Of course, nobody was saying that they fear diversity quotas. I don't know what point that's supposed to be. Were you expecting applause too, Nancy Mace? Were you pulling a Pete Hegseth there? But interestingly, there are some on the right that think that she's a pretty bad messenger for that. Matt Walsh said Nancy Mace was literally a beneficiary of a DEI program. She graduated from the Citadel, one of the first women to do so. If the Republicans had had it their way, she literally would not legally have been allowed to go there. Thank God in the past, some people thought, wouldn't it be nice for women to be able to also serve their nation? And at that point, people like Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump weren't in charge, so Nancy Mace got that opportunity. In the future, we'll see. It might be banned for the next generation. But in any event, yeah, I wanted to bring you in there. It's just become so common, the bad mouthing of women serving. They're not the only group being bad mouthed, but they're one of the most prominent.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to say, like, I laugh every time I see that video of Pete Hegseth at the end of his speech, and I've watched it a few times, and it makes me laugh every single time. But to your point, John, about physical fitness, I did wonder what Pete Hegseth thinks is going to happen by enacting these stricter physical requirements for service people, or I guess just for service men. Does he think that everyone's just, going to start pumping iron and cutting carbs all of a sudden, just fixing everything that's wrong with like why Americans have gotten more overweight than they were in past decades? Or are they willing to just cut even more people from this giant military operation that they're simultaneously trying to build up? If you have stricter standards, you're going to lose more people because they're not going to be able to meet those standards. That is normal. He's already cut transgender people from the military. He's now disincentivizing women from joining the military. That is a chunk of military people, right? And if we're supposed to have the biggest, baddest, scariest military on the planet, it says something whenever you're trying to just cut people, especially when you're trying to cut people arbitrarily, right? These women who are serving in the military, as well as other groups who have been targeted, they're obviously capable of doing so because they have been doing so for this entire time. Whether or not they're in combat or not, there are many branches, not literal branches, but there are many different aspects and jobs that contribute to the overall efforts of the United States military. If you want, just let them do that. But why are you demonizing people for things that they don't need to be demonized for? And why are you, as the Secretary of Defense, right? Not war. He's so cheesy. He's so lame. But like, why are you, as the Secretary of Defense, trying to make your job more difficult by cutting people, right? I think in his mind, he thinks that he can do more with less, as if he, in his mind has 30 Spartans instead of like all these other like farmers who are trying to cosplay as soldiers. But,
I think you might be overthinking it, Yaz. I don't think he
that's the
cares
problem.
at
Yeah, it's just
all.
like they're just not thinking about anything, and it's hard because we want to make sense of things that make no sense. Like I feel like that's a natural reaction. It's like, okay, well maybe he was thinking this, maybe blah blah blah. There is no sense to it, right? A lot of the
Yeah.
things that he said made no sense. And that is what it is. They just make no sense. There is no foresight. There is no overall game plan here. He is just trying to assert himself as this big, bad dude. He spent so much money, of military money, assembling all of these leaders, which is dangerous, first of all. We knew where and when all of our top level military leaders were going to be. They're all in one place. There's a reason why that hasn't happened before, because it was a dumb thing to do. It cost so much money. And now with the government shutdown, the military is service members are going to lose their paychecks, right? As of this month or November 1st. So it's really just, it's so tone deaf, but these people, like, they're not hearing any of it.
Yeah, I think he is a Fox News guy. And all they know is identity politics. And so that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He doesn't, how is he going to help move the military in a more positive direction? He doesn't really understand it. That's not his world. His world is Fox News, okay, for the last 10 years or whatever. And meanwhile, he's like telling these generals they need to like resist the urge to eat a donut. Put down one drink without finishing it. Pete Hegseth, how about that? How about that? And meanwhile, he's bad mouthing like gay service members. Like their sexuality is so, there's just something wrong with it, okay? They can't serve. The next time a woman says no, maybe don't assault her. How about that? Maybe exercise a little bit of self-control and discipline as you're telling all of these people to do the same, Pete Hegseth.